Okay guys, welcome back. All right, so far we've definitely showed you that you are a chief executive officer of a company named your name listed on the world market. If you are not aware of this fact yet, you definitely need to watch this series up here. Just click up here. Now we're going to show you how to act like a chief executive officer by asking questions a chief executive officer would ask a bank regarding their loan. But first, here's a quick recap. Now, what it is the wet ink signed contract of your debt. The contract that you sign, that is actually an asset. Now, keep in mind, accompanied with that is a sworn affidavit from a chartered accountant stating that he's looked into the ledgers and the ledgers do show that they are still the owner of the debt or they're not the owner of the debt. Now, as you can see, the documentation we're asking for is a very reasonable request. The original wet ink copy of the contract, the actual asset that was made the day that you signed the contract, well, the bank should have that. And then also a sworn affidavit from an accountant. Well, the banks have a whole lot of accountants working for them, so that should not be a problem either. Now, we've shown you what documentation to ask from the bank. Now, let's be realistic here. We know that the organizations like the bank are famous of taking away our due process. Now, due process, what is that? We're going to look it up on the internet here for you and show it to you. Due process is the fact that you have every right to ask reasonable questions and they must give you back reasonable answers. If you ask a reasonable question and they do not give back a reasonable answer, you, by definition, has won the debate. Now, we're going to illustrate this to you via an investigative reporter's approach. So we're going to be asking these reasonable questions, and you're going to see that the bank lawyers, the bank employees, and the bank collectors cannot answer any of these questions. The best way to show this to you is with UnitedWeStandPeople.com public investigations. But before we do that, the one question we're going to be asking is the bank the rightful owner of the debt? So now, if we're asking that question, we've got to make sure that debts are bought and sold every day. So here's some stuff that we found on the internet here for you. We're just going to place it up there. Showing that all over the internet, it's all over the place that they are selling debts on the world market. So now, if they can sell debts and it's so apparent out there, that means us asking for proof of ownership of the debt is a very reasonable request. They could have sold the debt. So whenever chatting with a bank employee, a bank collector, or a bank lawyer, the number one thing you have to ask him is, are you aware that debts are bought and sold? Because if you're aware that debts are bought and sold, then you can see my question is a very reasonable question because they could have sold the debt. Now, to take it to the next level, we've got to make sure that they truly understand what it is to sell the debt, because they believe, many of them believe, that the only way they can sell a debt is to a collector after it's gone delinquent. That's simply not true. As you can see in securitization, they are selling these debts 4 days after we sign the contracts. So what they do is they just take away our due process. Because they know they don't have the documentation, the only thing they can do is not answer our reasonable questions and hope that we just go away and give up. Now here's a video that will explain the solution we've come up with. So what we have done is we've created UnitedWeStandPeople.com public investigations. So what's going on here is that when they have just one of us and they're not giving us our due process, and nobody knows about it, so basically you're being bullied. Well, what happens when a bully hears somebody saying, hey, stop bullying? They stop the bullying. Yeah, I was just making sure I had your attention. And this is our whole plan for the whole UnitedWeStandPeople.com public investigations, to be bringing it to your attention that there's many bank employees, bank collectors, and bank lawyers taking away the due process from the Canadian people, simply just bullying them. So when we bring this to your attention, we are sure that you're going to want to send complaints, and we're going to be having all of their contact information. When they start hearing from us, I tell you, they're going to stop bullying us. So as we said before, the only way to have a bully stop bullying is letting them know they're being watched. And that's exactly what we need to do in order for us to get our due process. Due process is what makes the Canadian system fair. And if they're not willing to answer reasonable questions, well, that's a real problem. Okay guys, you're not going to want to miss the next episode. We now are going to start calling bank employees, bank collectors, bank lawyers, and asking them for real documentation in real live cases. These cases we'll be looking at here have been reported to UnitedWeStandPeople.com. Reason being is because they are having their human rights taken away from them, which is the right of due process. So you guys have a great day, and we're going to leave you with this little reminder. Okay guys, so if you find yourself in the situation where you feel that you need debt help, this information is priceless. But of course, to be able to execute it is another thing. So what we are willing to do here is we're willing to help you guys out. So all you need to do is send an email to UnitedWeStandPeople@gmail.com. Just let us know you need debt help, and we're going to do everything we can to execute all of these techniques we have. Now, keep in mind, we are not bank trustees. We do not do consumer proposals. We're none of that. We are human rights activists who are going to help Canadians get out of debt by asking for proof of ownership of the debt. Now, we've got some young whippersnappers down in the ad department. They told me today that they got an ad that's definitely not going to get us mixed up with any bankruptcy trustees or consumer proposal people. Let's take a look at it. I'm pretty excited to see it myself.
Oh my God! Do you feel like this regarding your debt situation? Oh! We can help!
UnitedWeStandPeople.com. The power's in the people.
So don't forget to like this video and share with your friends and subscribe.